It was a very big deal, for us. So I took all the capital that I had. By the way, my grandfather and my father, they both told me not to do it.
So literally last week, the news broke out that Compass...
I didn't know if you were going to bring that up.
What are your thoughts as an agent, as an owner, submarkets that you think you're like very excited about?
I think that neighborhood is going to explode.
Miami DealMakers is sponsored by Plytech. Noise complaints are one of the top issues facing condo and hotel developers. Plytech engineered the Genie Mat to provide effective sound isolation of floors and walls in units for quiet living and restful sleep. As a designer and developer, you know high quality amenity spaces set your project apart, but they shouldn't come at the cost of comfort. Plytech's products isolate the noise from gyms, pools, and everyone's favorite, even pickleball courts, so residents can fully enjoy their homes. Visit plytech.com today and build quieter buildings. That's plytech.com, PLITEQ.com, or send an email at info@plytech.com.
Daniel?
How are you?
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
So obviously you're the president of ONE Sotheby's International Realty. You guys got over 30 offices, 1,300 associates, and I don't know how, but you close close to $10 billion a year in residential sales, which is a mind-boggling number to me. So thank you for taking the time.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. You do a remarkable job. You've had some incredible people on this show. So
like yourself,
it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So for me personally, right, you're here now and you're the president of this big company. You have all these sales. You're in a phenomenal market in Miami and up and down to Southeast Florida. But like, how did you get started into all this? I'm assuming most people think you're just like born and you're like, selling real estate in Miami is my passion. Right. And like, I'm just curious how it was for you, either from childhood or things like that got you to where you are today.
So I always had a passion for real estate. I always loved real estate. And I didn't really know what that meant. Did I want to be in construction? Did I want to be in development? Right. I was a broker early on. So I'll kind of take you back a little bit. So
were you born in Miami or no?
I was born and raised in Miami.
Ah, okay.
Born and raised in Miami. So I grew up, I was pretty much Coral Gables my whole life. Yeah. I was born in Hialeah.
Oh.
And my mother and now partner, she likes to say we are originally from East Hialeah. So she jokes about that. But yeah, I was born in Hialeah, then moved to Coral Gables. And then I was very privileged, and went to some great private schools. I went to St. Thomas Episcopal and then graduated.
And college, you stayed here or you went somewhere?
College, I stayed here.
Okay.
Kind of. So I played baseball my whole life, my whole entire life. My father actually, when he came here from Cuba, he walked on.
You guys are Cuban?
Cuban.
I didn't know this. My father's Cuban.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So my father, they had no money, really had no ability to buy, a proper uniform, or baseball uniform to try to walk on. So he went in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt to a University of Miami baseball practice. Ron Frazier was the coach at the time. And he said, I want to try out. And they looked at him and they were like, what do you want to do here? Yeah. So they let him hit. They threw him, I think, 10 balls and 4 of them he hit out of the park.
No.
Yeah. And he made the team. He played for about a year and then he had to stop playing because he had to work. They were working 2 jobs, both my parents at the time.
Wow.
But yeah, very privileged, was able to go to great high schools.
Yeah.
From there, I played baseball at FAU, which was also kind of short-lived.
Yeah.
I was there for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Then I went to Gainesville, spent 2 years in Gainesville.
Okay.
Which was an amazing time in my life.
Yeah. A lot of my friends that went to Gainesville, I'm like,
I had a good experience. Blast. I lived in Colonial Village and a lot of the people that I lived there with are still great friends of mine.
Yeah.
And I came back and I graduated from FIU.
Got it.
But when I came back, my family said, you can come back, but you've got to work. So I started working. at a company called DeLand Construction.
Okay.
So I was there my junior and senior year at FIU. And my first year there, I was in the office and I was doing estimating and I was learning the construction, estimating part of things. And then about a year in, the founder of the company, Juan Manuel Delgado, he said to me, listen, I want you to go on site and I want you to learn like punch outs and everything that you're kind of drawing, what it means in reality.
Yeah.
So I went actually to work at a project to punch it out called Siebold Point.
Okay.
And Siebold Point is actually Albert Milo.
Okay, yeah.
Who's a genius.
Yeah, he's
one of the best affordable guys in the country.
Runs the affordable division for Related. Just built Magnus Brickell, which is phenomenal. Like, well done. He's a legend. Milo's a legend.
He's a legend. Yeah. Actually, it was an interesting, I'll give you like a little side story there. So he calls me and he said, listen, I want to have lunch with you.
And at this time, you're like mid-20s or?
At this time, I'm 22.
Okay.
22. He says to me, I want to have lunch with you. I said, of course, man. Whatever. I didn't even ask why. So, he said, look, my daughter just got her real estate license. I just kind of need some advice from you. And I reminded him, I said, you may not remember me, Albert, but I was on site doing punch outs and I used to be in all the construction meetings every week at Siebold Point. And he kind of looked and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I do remember.
It's funny how small the world is.
It's
right?
crazy.
Like,
it's crazy.
The more I operate in Miami, I'm like, everyone knows everyone. It's a small world.
So that was a very special moment for me.
Yeah.
So I actually went to see Juan Manuel and I said, listen, Juan, I got my real estate license when I was 21.
Yeah.
I was 22 at the time. I said, look, I want to get into real estate. I want to learn, the brokerage business. So my mother, Mai, had a small brokerage at the time called Stewart de la Vega. Okay. So I got my license, but I always had a passion for construction, for development. I was really watching closely what George Perez was doing at the time. And I actually wanted to go originally work for George. And, he had a relationship with my father and my mother. And, he said, tell him to bring his hard hat and his construction boots and I'll give him a job. and I questioned whether I should have done that, but at the time I didn't. And I basically started to just work on the brokerage side of the business. Okay. So mind you, this is 2004 at this point.
Like condo conversion craze.
So condo conversion craze. Everybody's buying real estate. So I start making a lot of money very quickly. Right. And because of the relationships that I was very fortunate to have because of my upbringing in these different private schools. And I just started to leverage them. I partnered with a guy who's still a very close friend of mine. He's part of the Cisneros family, so we did a lot of business with them. I'm in the art world, not just because of Sotheby's, but I'm in the art world. I'm a collector. I love art. And Ella Cisneros, she was not only a client of mine, but she was a mentor of mine in the art world. So I built my collection by traveling the world with her. Oh, wow. And she was very kind to take me to these different art fairs in Sao Paulo, in Madrid. And I got to learn that world because of her. And she's still, a lady that I hold in a very high regard. And
so when you started selling real estate, right? Were you on were you working with your mom at that brokerage?
So she had a brokerage. Like I said earlier, Stewart de la Vega. I hung my license there. And I didn't really work with her because she was very busy. She was a top producer in the Coral Gables market. And I started to do my own deals with Alejandro, the gentleman that I was mentioning earlier, who became my partner. And we started scouring sites, and it was a little bit of residential, a little bit of commercial. But very quickly I got into doing my own development deals.
Oh, interesting.
So
I want to pause before you jump into your development deals real quick. It's a random question I had.
Of course.
We share a bunch of clients and the developers that I sell land to. We all, we know a lot of the same people. Everyone's like, dude, Daniel de la Vega is just like the nicest, like most convincing human being I've ever met in my life. I literally had a big developer tell me like, when I meet with him, I just want to like give him all my business. I'm like, please sell all my stuff. So my question for you is, in high school, were you this like very social butterfly, like soft skills type of person, or did you learn that?
No,
you know?
no. And I'm still not a social butterfly.
Yeah.
I actually love being home with my family and spending time with them. And I'm a Cancer. I was born July 9th. So, you know, Cancers are homebodies.
Yeah.
They're kind of introverts, you know. I just try to be as honest and as real as I can.
Yeah.
And I run my business that way. And I'm surrounded by in my business naturally by really, really just good people. Yeah. You know,
Vanessa.
Steph Kaufman is our chief sales officer. Yeah. Vanessa Stabil, who's the salt of the earth, is our COO. Mm-hmm. Chris Anthony, he's our regional vice president for the northern markets. Yeah. All of our managing brokers that manage our different branch offices, you know, they manage their own P&L with these branch offices. They're really just good people, good-hearted people. Yeah. And I just try to do business that way. I just try to be honest, you know, and always do the right thing. And that's something that my grandfather taught me. I've spoken a little bit about my father, but my grandfather came here with nothing as well. Yeah. He started a business called Intercontinental Metals with a handshake. Yeah. From Republic National Bank, that at the time they were doing handshake deals, you know, with Cubic.
We were just talking about handshake, people that you can do handshake deals with and people that you can't.
And we know the ones that you can and we know the ones that you can't.
Correct.
And I want to be one of the ones that you can.
Well, this is what I tell people about.
It's not about money to me. It's really not about making money at times. It's about doing the right thing.
Right.
And you surround yourself with people that have that same philosophy. Yeah. And that's how I think you build a great culture. Yeah. And part of our success is our culture. Yeah. That is
because it's from the top.
Well, it starts from the top.
And then that people
as you grow and as you scale, it has to be felt throughout the entire organization.
Right. I tell people all the time, I'm like, people always say, you know, Miami or Florida is a sunny place for shady people and it's got that reputation. And I'm like, for me, I think that's my competitive advantage in Miami, where I am like, I do what I say I'm going to do. I give you honest feedback, whether it's what you want to hear or not. And over time, people are like, hey, I like calling Omar when I need feedback on real estate or whatever it is, because I know he's going to shoot it to me straight. Yeah. You know?
100%.
And that over time has compounded to like meaningful relationships. And like you said, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Exactly.
You know, but that's also cost me in, you know, dealings with the wrong people, where I'm like, oh wow, that guy screwed me. And I'm just like, all right, well, like now I know it's a long career. It's okay that happened. And I'll just continue being me. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to be jaded. I'm not going to switch how I present myself to the world because somebody got the best of me or try to like one up me.
Exactly.
You know, and it's, you got to continue being who you are.
100%. You know, so when I sit with these developers, I just try to be honest and say, look, guys, if you want to hire me, if you want to fire me, I'm okay. Yeah. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to keep doing my deals and I'm going to, and that naturally, I think is going to surround me with good developers.
Yeah, the people that want
with good agents. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's important to me, you know, because when I put my brand and I put my name on a project, a lot of it lies on the developer's reputation. Yeah. So I'm very, very careful. Yeah. I've made mistakes.
Right.
I've made mistakes, you know, because I think you learn people's true colors when things get very difficult.
Yeah.
You know,
my biggest learning lesson since rates shot up in 2022 and prices have gone, you know, down in commercial real estate, you know, prices have taken a hit, is how different some people act when they're not making a ton of money and they're losing money. I'm like, whoa, this guy's, you know, coming in pretty hot right now.
And I think I shine most in those situations.
I agree.
When things get very tough.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I want my clients and my agents to know. Yeah. And I think most of them feel that and they know that, like, look, it's a tough market right now.
Yeah, tough.
The development sales, I mean, the capital markets are very tough, but it's hard to sell real estate right now hard to sell new development condos right now.
I mean, for me, I would be a buyer of a condo or a house right now. And I'm like, you know what? Like rates are high. I'm just gonna just keep renting for a little bit.
And it's not to say that deals aren't getting done.
Right.
But the sales velocity compared to the life cycle of the project, to get a development right now to 40% sold with 20% deposits in the time frame that you need to, because everything's about momentum.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in the market before you break ground for more than 18 months, maybe 24 months. It depends on the size of the deal.
Yeah.
But to get there is very difficult right now.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure you've got the right developer, you've got the right unit mix, you've got the right pricing, and that they stick to the pricing.
Right.
Because the biggest mistake that developers make is they go into a development saying, okay, yes, we agree upon this tiered pricing strategy. We're going to go to market.
Yeah.
We're going to spend the marketing dollars. Yeah. And then they get their GMP and they say, whoa. We've got to raise prices by 20%. Yeah. But I still expect you still to sell at the same velocity. I'm not a magician. I have a great team but that's when I sit down with them and I'm saying, guys, this is our reality. Yeah. And that's when the times get tough. And I think that, our team and myself kind of lead with the heart really and say, this is a partnership.
Yeah. Right.
This is a partnership. This is our reality.
Yeah.
This is what this competitor and this competitor and this competitor is doing. Yeah. We're doing a little bit better. Yeah. We're doing well, or we're doing a little bit worse. What do we need to do to shift?
Yeah. But we're in it for the long haul.
But we're in it,
and we want to be on the same page.
Yeah.
We don't want for me when I work with clients on the commercial side, I want to make sure the expectations are aligned.
Yeah.
And if they say, oh, but your competitor is telling me 2 times what you're telling me, and I'm like, you can go work with them if you want. I'm telling you, I'm in the market. Like, this is what your land is worth, or like, this is what your building is worth,
I pride myself on not telling developers what they want to hear. And I've lost jobs because of it.
For sure. I
really.
Jobs every week.
Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I should have taken it and I should have just kind of bullshit.
When they then sell at your price.
Because I can bullshit you if you want me to. And tell you this great story about why your product is the best product in the market.
Story of my life.
I want to be honest.
My whole team this week, we just told someone who wants their building to be worth $100 million. We're just like, in our head, we're like, it's worth 85, 90, like maybe 92, 90. It's not worth 100.
Yeah.
But we know he wants to hear 100. And basically my whole team has to huddle up and like have like a come to Jesus moment. We're like, are we going to tell him 100?
Yeah.
So we can win the business, or are we going to tell him it's probably worth 85 to 90, but if someone's out there to pay 100, like we'll find them, and we'll work with you.
And then maybe in a different market, right? You take it at 100,
correct,
and hope for the best. But in this market, you have to drain time, all kinds of resources, financial. Yeah. So it's not worth it. Yeah. You only make money if you sell.
No, and
I only make money if I sell.
Correct. And what I've noticed too is you'll take on the deal, you'll work it for 6 months or whatever, your life cycle looks like. And then if it doesn't come to fruition, then they have a bad taste in their mouth about you not hitting your mark. Exactly. So I'd rather be like, listen, I won't hit my mark at these numbers, But what's really tough, and for you probably way more than me, is I have a team, I work with a team, but we're sort of all hunters, we're all, agents, call it.
Yep.
But for you, you're managing a lot of agents. And when I thought about, in the past being like a real estate broker, like having my own brokerage firm. Yeah. What I hear is that you become basically
Don't do it. Don't do it.
What I heard is
I'm a glutton for pain.
Yeah. They're basically like, you stop focusing on the real estate and you have to start managing people. Like you're a manager of people. Yeah. And I love people, but like I like the real estate, And for you, what I was getting at is we've got, myself included, but you've got thousands of agents that are tied, their expectations are tied to 2021 and 2022 when everything was selling, the market was super hot, you threw something out there, you got 20 offers, one above the other, and everyone's making money. And then now they're like...
You almost had negative inventory. It was crazy.
It was insane. Yeah. My cousins who live in Honduras came to go see a house. They're like, Omar, can you come with us? It's an open house. Just like, we want your eyes and opinion. I'm not in residential real estate sales, but I'm like, yeah, I'll go, I go. There was a line out the door. There was like 50 people waiting to get into this house. And the line was like a guy that was 72, a kid that was 24 with a Bugatti and like crypto and like gold chains, an athlete. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. So people are tied to those expectations. And I'm assuming you have to manage a lot of, the emotions of a slower market. Yeah. So how hard is it to do that?
It's hard. I mean, it's like managing any large business, right? I mean, we are a low margin business, but we function like a large corporation.
Yeah.
I mean, we do over 15,000 transactions a year, $10 billion in sales.
Insane.
Right. So we have, an accounting department, a marketing department, a listing coordination department. I mean, so we have 140 full-time employees to support our 1,400 agents, right? Along the entire East Coast of Florida. So, there's facilities, there's everything, right? So, and then it's such a people business that you've got to make sure that your agents feel supported.
Yeah.
That's why we do it. Yeah. But I'll tell you why I do it. I'll just take you back a quick second to.
Oh, we're going way back to how you started development and construction.
So I was brokering, right, in 04, 05, and I loved it. And I made money to be able to invest in deals. So I was working with another brokerage. I would have been working with Berkadia if Berkadia was as prominent as it is now, but it didn't have amazing people like you and your team. I know all of you guys. You guys are great. You guys are one of the best in the industry.
Thank you.
And you've got a remarkable brand behind you, right? It's me. I mean, having that Berkshire Hathaway
makes it look
Sotheby's. It doesn't. But it gives people a sense of security, and it's a real security, right? In times like this, people want great brands to back them up, right?
When we tell people that we're owned by Warren Buffett, like Berkshire, they're like, what? I never knew that.
Yeah.
And our competitors, when the market's gotten slower, they've, had to fire, let go, cut staff. Berkadia's ramping up. We're hiring people, and it puts us on offense. People are playing defense.
That's what we do in every down market. Yeah. Except it's not Warren Buffett. It's me. And I'm doing it in creative ways,
You're not sitting on $400 billion of cash.
No.
I'm not either. So you're like, I'm going to get into commercial real estate.
So I had the passion. I was watching developers, build their companies here.
Yeah.
I was working with that construction company for 2 years, and I started buying and fixing 12 unit, 24 unit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wood frame, 20s construction, multifamily in Little Havana.
Yeah.
So I probably did, 8 to 10 deals in Little Havana where I would buy them, I would fix them, and I would flip them. And I was working with this one broker, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And he was great. And I wish I would have kept them in hindsight. And I thought I was going to keep them, but I always needed the money for the next deal.
Yeah. Recycle.
The deals kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So then I also, with still a great friend of mine, who owns a wonderful single-family home construction company called Dorlam Construction. Mm-hmm. We were buying lots in Coral Gables and building houses, and we would sell them. Mm-hmm. And Mai would actually sell
Perfect.
them. So it worked out really well. So I had a passion for the development, and we'll get to where we're going eventually, but had a passion for the development, had a passion for the brokerage. But in 2008.
Yeah. I was going to ask. Yep.
The financial crisis hit. So I just got out of the last house that I was selling. Oh. Actually, rest in peace. God bless her soul, Joanne Forster. She was a legend in the brokerage industry. She brought me a buyer for that home. It was 830 South Alhambra Circle. Last minute. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Right. Things were on shaky ground.
We were there. Yeah. We sold the house for $2.8 million. And we ended up just getting our money back. For us at the time was huge.
Yeah.
Had a lot of money invested in the deal for me at the time.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. Like me at my age, if I go, I'm in a spec home right now, right outside of Coco Palm. I'm like, I need it. There's a big part of my net worth is in it.
Yeah.
Right. So it needs to go up.
It was, a lot of what I had. So that we got out of that deal.
Yeah.
Right. And then the opportunity presented itself to acquire the Sotheby's International Realty affiliation out of bankruptcy.
Wow.
So Mai and I,
Mai, your mother.
My mother and I, flew to New York, and we were one of two other people. And there I was selling. I wasn't, I was honest.
Yeah.
But I was selling. I had to sell. We were the right people.
Yeah.
The people that knew nothing about the brokerage business.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I was doing what I just told you I was doing. And she was an amazing real estate agent controlling 51% of the Coral Gables market.
Yeah.
And she's a brilliant woman. She's super creative. She's a huge entrepreneur. She was partners with my grandfather that I was talking about earlier, and they sold Intercontinental Metals together to Alcoa. which is a multinational aluminum manufacturer. That was the industry they were in before. So we flew to New York and we pitched them on why we were the right team.
Yeah. And now
I was
late.
27.
You're late. Yeah. 27.
27. And I had long hair.
Yeah.
And she was always like,
so was she what, like late 40s or?
she would kill me if I said her age. She would kill me. She'll lie to you right now if you interview her straight up with a straight face.
She'll be like 32. As she should.
So you had them at 12?
Yeah.
You know? So anyways, we go to New York, we pitch, we win, and December.
How was that pitch? So first tell me how that opportunity came to you, if you have that story. And then how was that process?
So unfortunately, the group, the gentleman that owned the rights to Sotheby's in Miami and in Fort Lauderdale went into bankruptcy.
Okay.
So we bought it out of bankruptcy.
And it was a brokerage?
It was a brokerage.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a brokerage with about 30 agents.
Okay.
We buy it out of bankruptcy. And they were pretty much only selling, themselves, the agents that were, there was one guy, he kind of controlled it.
Yeah.
And then there was this group of agents and they were just kind of like a big team that was just selling real estate.
Yeah.
And Mari originally, wanted to do that because she was selling real estate. Mm-hmm. So I think early on, she just wanted to be the one that, controlled the brand and sold real estate.
And was ONE Sotheby's in 2004, 2005, were they like the brand down here? Were they like one of the players?
They were one of the major players.
Okay.
They were the major player.
Got it.
But they were really only working in Miami, but they were selling all the luxury real estate. And the guy at the time had the first reality TV show around real estate. He had a guy that, drove him around and he was flying around in helicopters showing real estate. It was a show.
Yeah, what it is now, Yeah. But he was like early on to that.
Very early on.
Yeah. Okay. So strong brand. Gets into a hiccup through the crisis, as a lot of people did.
Yep.
Then the opportunity to buy the brand comes to you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you guys,
because it's in bankruptcy.
Correct.
So we buy it out of bankruptcy.
And that's something you guys can do yourselves personally, or was it like, hey, we got to go raise capital?
No, we did it ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did it ourselves and it was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a very big deal, for us. So I took all the capital that I had from these deals. By the way, my grandfather and my father, I've talked about both of them, very special people to me.
Yeah.
They both told me not to do it.
Oh, wow.
So I used to go to this restaurant called La Rosa on 7th, with my grandfather right by the airport on 7th Street, right by the airport off of Lejeune, 7th Avenue, excuse me. And I went there with him, my grandfather and my father. And I said, guys, I'm thinking about doing this. You guys know what I've done so far. What do you think?
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's crazy. The market's, never going to come back. It was a very, very, very difficult time.
Scary.
If you lived it, you knew it was scary. Yeah. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Yeah. So I closed my eyes and I did it. And I invested everything I had alongside Mai. Yeah. And she did the same. Yeah. And we lost money for years.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. We lost money for years because we were building this company, and
in a down market.
In a down market. And we were flying the plane and building it at the same time. Yeah. And for us, we didn't know how to fly and we really didn't know how to build because we knew nothing about the brokerage business. But we were doing it. Yeah. And we just believed in the brand. We believed in ourselves. We believed that Miami was, a true it was a true international market, but we believed that it had so much room for growth. And when we got our first development, which was the W South Beach.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Which was an incredible moment for us. And I still credit, David Edelstein and my very, very close friend, Brandon Koff, who still works with him. They gave us an opportunity that,
a big break for you guys.
It was a huge, that was a huge break for us.
Yeah.
So relationships are so important in this industry because that relationship that I had with Brandon stemmed from the early days at Gulliver. Yeah. We played baseball together.
Yeah.
And we were there sitting, we flew to New York again to meet with David, and we were in this beautiful conference room and, we told him all the reasons that we thought we were the right team. And
what year was this more or less?
This was like 2000. This was right after this was 2009.
Oh, okay. Wow.
2009.
So the market's like shot.
The market
and you're like,
shot.
give me the opportunity.
And they're not selling because
Right.
they had already launched.
Oh, okay.
You know, but we went in there with them and we got our hands, you know, dirty.
We're in the weeds, yeah.
You know, and then comes Mr. Chow, and then comes the wall, and then them comes
the wall.
So what was interesting there was that their ADR was very, very low at the time.
Imagine.
And they weren't getting the right people through the door, right? And I remember we sat around a table and we over doubled the ADR. You know, by just obviously raising the rates.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you've got Mr. Chow, you've got the wall, you've got gorgeous finishes. I mean, if you walk it today, they just sold it to the Rubin brothers.
Yeah.
But it was impeccably finished.
Beautiful.
And they had
The
a
pool.
multi-million-dollar art collection in there.
Yeah.
Multi-million-dollar art collection. So, you know, they had to leverage that.
Yeah. It needs to
And then
fit
immediately-
the base of the tenants that are
And
going
then
here.
immediately, A.B. Rosen started, you know, having his party every year during our Basel, and the who's who would come. I remember Kim and Kanye and this one and the other, and it was like a really big
Became a
deal.
spot.
And then we started selling real estate fast,
Yeah.
and for numbers that Miami Beach had never seen.
That's the best.
Right? Like we were getting $2,000 a square foot when nobody was getting $2,000.
Not existent. Yeah.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
We were selling so fast that they called us and they said, stop.
No way.
We sold $450 million of real estate and they said, stop. We're not going to fire you, but stop, because we want to keep the remaining units because the ADR is so high and it's a great investment for us. And when they sold it to the Rubin brothers, they sold it in that fashion, right? Because they held on to that real estate for so long and it proved to be a great.
But were you selling like hotel condos? Like
that was a hotel condo, and it was arguably one of the only. There's been successful ones, but if a developer comes to me right now and says, I want to do a hotel condo, I say, thank you very much. I'm not the right person for the job.
Yeah. Why? Let's get into that.
It just has a really bad, you know, but investors don't like it. And it's an investor product.
Yeah.
They don't like, you know, the inability to use the unit whenever they want to use it.
Yeah.
They don't like the rev share.
Yeah.
You know, and they have a lot of blackout deeds.
Yeah.
So that's why the STR market kind of took off with a lot of flexibility.
Correct.
And even in the STR market today, you know, there's a difference between a 1 day rental or no minimum rental.
30 days.
or 3 days. Right. So very successful there. Then we moved on to Bellini, Williams Island, which again, going back to relationships, was also a relationship that I had from the Gulliver days, the Margulies family.
Okay.
So we went to the Grand Bay and we went to go meet with Marty, and his son was in the meeting, who's in the construction industry still today, Mike Margulies, and myself and, you know, Mai and our team at the time. And they gave us an opportunity there at Bellini, Williams Island.
How big were these sellouts? You know, because now it's $2 billion sellout.
I mean, this was big at the time. Bellini, Williams Island was $400 million.
Yeah, it's huge.
But it was $600 a square foot.
That's why.
You know,
big units though.
It's like when we did, and we sold out both of those projects. When we did Brickell City Center, we were doing $650, $700 a square foot.
So crazy.
But we were saying to people, guys, this is the Time Warner Center of Miami.
This was like 2016, right?
Yeah. I jumped a few years.
Yeah. No, I got my real estate license when I was 18. And I started selling real estate before getting into the investment and commercial side of it. And I remember flying to Honduras, where I'm from, with my father to pitch Brickell City Center. And we had like a whole showroom and it was like a whole thing, because we were like, this is like the Mecca. This is the hub of the financial hub of Miami, you know? And it was like
and at the time, Brickell, everybody said, well, you're not in like old Brickell, right? You don't have views. Yes, there was Brickell Heights and a few other buildings, but the reality was that you were still selling people on an urban environment. And walkability. And now when you drive down, you know, South Miami Avenue, or you drive down these streets of Brickell and you look up and you look at like either Brickell City Center or the Flatiron or the retail space at Brickell Heights. I mean, it is impressive.
Yeah. Oh my God. For me, I remember post 2021, well, two things, right? One is how the, you know, demographics changed, right? Like I said, when I moved to Brickell in 2016, 17, my whole building was South Americans, you know, like Latinos like me. And then now my building where I live here in Brickell, it's, you know, Boston, New York, Canada, Turkey. It's the whole globe. And I'm just like, this is wild. And it happened in 24 months, you know, my cousins would come over from Honduras and I would tell them like, hey, let's go grab dinner. You know, it's a Tuesday, so it might be a little dead. Cause, you know, my hindsight of on the weekdays, Brickell was dead at night. Now you walk on a Tuesday night in Brickell and it's like a Friday night. It's packed. But I'm just like, this is crazy. This is crazy. So, okay, you get, the W South Beach as like a big milestone type of like, we have an opportunity to show and prove ourselves in a large scale, right? And it was successful.
Very.
What you're saying.
Very.
Okay. And then through that, are you basically like, okay, what's the next building? What are we doing now? Or are you like, hey, let's hire a bunch of agents? Like, how does ONE Sotheby's International Realty like grow and expand, you know?
We had a growth mindset.
Yeah.
It was just top line. Yeah. Like that's what we were worried about.
Yeah.
And, you know, hire to support, of course.
Yeah.
But we were really focused on getting good projects. You know, today I'll tell you, I'm very meticulous about the projects that we take because we're so dependent on so much. But at the time we were just taking whatever we
were like, you know,
and
the market was 2010.
At the buildings that we've sold since 2019. You know, we've sold over 40 buildings and you just kind of, and the trajectory is pretty impressive. But, you know, for us, it was, at the time, just grow. And today it's kind of like, just be very methodical and intentional about the buildings that you take.
Let's chat about, because we're talking about growth mindset and all that stuff, about this Compass. So literally last week, the news broke out that Compass.
I didn't know if you were going to bring that up.
Put you on the hot seat.
Careful. Now,
so my,
do it.
Well, let's see how you do. So just last week, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, just last week.
No,
Compass,
just Monday,
literally this week.
This week.
Time flies. Okay, so literally, I'm glad we didn't do the interview last week.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have taled about it. You would have saved yourself.
I don't know. I might or might not be glad, depending on how this comes.
So Compass is set to acquire in Q2 of 2026 Anywhere Real Estate, which is a bunch of brands like Coldwell Banker, Corcoran Group, Sotheby's International Realty for $1.6 billion is what's on the newspapers, which is what I know. And I'm just curious. Okay, so that's set to happen in Q2 of 2026. It hasn't happened yet, and you know may not happen, but it looks like it will. How do you think about that acquisition? A, how much did you know about it? B, is this a surprise to you? And then C, what are your thoughts as an agent, as an owner?
I didn't know about it. Nobody really knew about it. You know, our parent, Sotheby's International Realty, didn't know about it until Sunday. It is not a surprise to me. You know, there's been a lot of consolidation in the industry for many, many years. We've experienced it at our level along the entire east coast of Florida. So we've talked a little bit about the development division. On the general brokerage side, our growth was very M&A focused. So we've had a lot of consolidation, both Sotheby's International Realty companies, as well as independent brokerages. So I would say about 50% of our revenue comes from M&A.
Oh, wow.
So for me, it was obviously an initial shock. You know, but as I started to digest it, and as I kind of started to put the pieces of the puzzle kind of together and knowing, you know, a lot about Compass and what they do because it's my job to know it. And knowing a lot about Anywhere because of my 17 years being affiliated with them. I said, oh,
makes sense.
You know, this makes sense.
You're shocked but not surprised.
And for me, you know, we're going to be great either way. You know, Anywhere's a great company. It's very well run. We have the crown jewel brand of Anywhere, Sotheby's International Realty. We have long-term agreements in place. So,
so does the name go away?
That is actually what Compass is acquiring, right? So,
because the name ONE Sotheby's has value, obviously.
Oh, an incredible
you know.
value.
So if I'm an agent at ONE Sotheby's, am I, you know, a year from now, am I still an agent? Well, I'm affiliated with ONE Sotheby's, or I'm affiliated with Compass?
No, you're affiliated with ONE Sotheby's. So think about it like this. So, you know, Volkswagen owns Porsche, Bentley, Lamborghini, right? All these luxury brands. And, you know, they let them each operate independently and they've got their own cars and their own models and their own marketing and their own, so financials. So, Compass will be the Volkswagen.
Got it. And you can still be the Porsche.
And we can still be the Porsche, but look, Robert is a brilliant guy.
He's the CEO of Compass.
He's the CEO of Compass.
Yeah.
He will now become, if this goes through, the CEO of the holding company.
Yeah.
And we are the crown jewel from a luxury perspective of that holding company, long-term agreements in place. So, for me, we get to keep the name.
Yeah.
They will implement some of their technology if they're able to acquire it.
Yeah.
Across all their brands.
Yeah.
They've said it in their investor deck. They'll have 350,000 plus agents now.
Great. 20% of the agents.
They'll have 20% of the agents nationwide. So they're going to want to test their technology, which they've invested $1.8 billion in. And it's great technology.
Yeah.
We have incredible technology as well, but we haven't invested $1.8 billion. So, that's great for us. And, look, I'm excited by it. They also have, AI that they're talking about. We at Anywhere are rolling out some AI.
Yeah.
At ONE Sotheby's, we're rolling out some AI.
Yeah.
But they're now going to want to implement their AI throughout all their brands and test it across 350,000 agents. So I win no matter what.
Right.
I win no matter what.
You stay being the Porsche. Now this Volkswagen has all this data, all this AI,
and that's, by the way, that's no knock on.
Yeah. No, I know.
Like LVMH is a luxury brand that has a lot of
many luxury brands. Yeah.
I just use that analogy so people that are confused could kind of understand.
Right.
I will say the only one thing is that Compass will lose Robert as a leader, and he's a great leader.
Yeah.
For me, I'm excited by it either way.
Yeah.
I
think when you end up seeing, at least in my experience, when you see these big mergers, that company that's buying you, right, has these resources to then go and aid you and make you better.
Yeah.
They're obviously not trying to
And Anywhere had those resources for us.
Yeah.
It's just going to be now
different scale,
different company. Different leader.
Yeah. And I could speak to Berkadia. Berkadia obviously has Warren Buffett. And for us, we literally have our own AI. It's called Berkey.
Yep.
And I could literally ask that AI, who were the last 20 developers that bought a condo site in South Florida that was under 2 acres?
That's amazing.
Boom. And me as a broker, I'm here are my first 20 calls, and it's I wouldn't be able to do that if I was, a smaller independent brand, for example, right? Not that a smaller independent brand doesn't have their own strengths and personal touch and things like that. But in a volume business where you were saying as you were growing ONE Sotheby's International Realty, it was all top line. And we are in a low margin business, which doesn't mean you can't make a ton of money.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a win-win for everyone.
If it goes through,
if it goes
through HSR and.
Well, Miami is they're looking to buy and everyone's they bought it.
Yeah.
It was, for me, the funniest one is Oak Row Equities is under contract to buy a building across the street for $500 million.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks they already bought it. Guys, they're under contract to buy. They bought that. I'm no, very different.
Huge difference.
Yeah. So people read those headlines and they're Compass bought Sotheby's. I'm looking to buy Sotheby's, So we'll see. If anything, we'll have another conversation a year or two from now, and do a pre and post.
I'm sure we will.
So I'm curious, because you mentioned you were in residential real estate when you were in your early mid-20s and you started doing your own deals. So you start, in my world, the people that I've seen do this, where they start making money, they start investing in deals, then they sort of stop brokeraging and start full-time investing in deals because it's where they're making these, big sums of money if they do it right. But for you sort of paused in '08, bet big on ONE Sotheby's, bet big on residential real estate, and seemingly focused on that for the next decade and a half until now. So did you start doing your own deal? Were you still doing your own deals while you were growing ONE Sotheby's, or was it I just need to pause that?
No. I invested in real estate, by buying income producing properties here and there. My family has bought a few homes and fixed them. Very, very light kind of investments from that standpoint. But 100% of my focus was on growing
the business.
Growing the
this is I'm
division,
going all in.
Growing the general brokerage. And, our development division operates on a separate P&L than our general brokerage, right? But they're very intertwined. They just kind of operate independently.
Yeah.
But the next phase of my career will be in the development investment world. So we've already taken a few positions with a company called One Capital, where we've invested in a few of our developments that we're selling. And we
look how he's smiling while he's talking about it.
I'm excited about it.
I know. I'm excited for you.
I'm excited about it. I'm not going to lie. Brings me back to my roots. And you know,
skin in the game.
But I want to make sure you and like the world knows this. I can only do this because I've got the best people around me on the general brokerage side that care.
I mean, I know Vanessa personally. She's the best.
That care about our agents. So they give me the ability to now go and focus on this. Right. And ultimately, you know, there's other people in the industry that have done this. And they don't have the size brokerage that we have, but they have a lot larger of a development firm than we have. But we're on our way there. You know, we're on our way there because we've made these investments in these deals. And we're doing our first deal as a GP. Surf Row Residences.
I was going to ask which one.
It's 25 luxury residences. We made a mistake and like in any business, you learn from your mistakes. How I've learned the most about my brokerage business is by mistakes that I've made along the way. And I've made some big ones.
I want to ask you some of them.
That's fine. But the reality is we started that. It's on 88th and Collins. It goes from Harding to Collins, east to west. And right by, you know, the Champlain Tower site. A block off the ocean.
Right.
So right there.
You're on west of Collins, right?
So if you're driving north on Collins, it's on the corner of, it's on the northwest corner of 88th.
Got it. It's just
right in front of the tennis courts.
Got it. And
Surfside. It's Surfside proper.
Right.
So I partnered with a group. They're fantastic.
The Diego Bonet or no?
The Bonet brothers, Alejandro and Diego Bonet. Again, just going back to the beginning of our conversation and what I'm so happy to hear the developer clients that we share say about me. They're just good people.
They love you.
But they're just good people. They're really, really good people and they're going to be successful because of it. And investors are going to trust them with their money because of it.
Miami DealMakers is sponsored by Plytech. Noise complaints are one of the top issues facing condo and hotel developers. Plytech engineered the Genie Mat to provide effective sound isolation of floors and walls in units for quiet living and restful sleep. As a designer and developer, you know high quality amenity spaces set your project apart, but they shouldn't come at the cost of comfort. Plytech's products isolate the noise from gyms, pools, and everyone's favorite, even pickleball courts, so residents can fully enjoy their homes. Visit plytech.com today and build quieter buildings. That's plytech.com, PLITEQ.com, or send an email at info@plytech.com.
So our team at Brickell just refinanced the Wynwood house that Diego Bonet was involved. I mean, $200+ million deal.
Brilliant.
I walked that deal.
Alejandro's the creative and Diego is the numbers guy, you know?
So, I joke. It's like Diego works and Alejandro travels. It's just a joke. But
like, he's getting inspiration when he travels. He calls me all the time. He's traveling.
But no, it's funny. I went to go tour Wynwood House that Diego Bonet and Alejandro Bonet did, the Lineri group. And I was blown away by the interiors, which I think they spearhead.
They had such an incredible attention to detail. So for me,
it looked like a luxury
For me,
product.
this has been so fun because these 24 units at Surf Row Residences. So just to take you back, we started with 8 townhouses and we failed. They didn't work. They were too big. And
so walk me through that. So you're looking to, let me skew it.
The short version. So,
because this is now you saying, I'm going to make a bet. I'm going to be a developer.
This site. I tell them, we've got to do 8 townhouses because what they tried before didn't work. We're going to do the first real brownstones
in Miami,
of Surfside, of Miami, but Surfside, which you have this super, super affluent city, right? That surf club, you know, is one of the best I think it's one of the most beautiful properties in the world.
Phenomenal.
And I've been lucky enough to travel the world.
Yeah, Indian Creek's right there.
We're going to piggyback on them because they don't have beautiful townhouses.
Yeah.
We're going to give people we're going to give people memberships so I said, I'm going to meet with Nadeem and he's going to give me memberships to the Surf Club. We're going to buy 8 of them and we're going to sell them and we're going to piggyback on their success. Well, he doesn't sell me 8. Let's start there. He doesn't give them to me because, he wants to control.
And he's expanding.
He needs them. So that's the first fail. Yeah. But then the townhouses don't work because they're too big. Yeah. They're too large and you start competing with single family homes. So this is where people's true colors come out when things get tough. Yeah. So, we in my first deal have to put more capital in the deal. Yeah, I go back to my investors for a couple capital calls, but I'm like, I can't do this again. Yeah. So I have to put double what my original investment.
Yeah. And just so people know, capital call is like, we've called capital. Yeah. Something hasn't gone according to plan. Yeah. And now we need more capital. Yes. Which is a very tough call to make.
Very tough. Yeah. And these are friends and family.
Right.
Institutional capital that has endless amounts of money.
Right.
So
your plans, the sales aren't.
So we go back to the drawing board. Yeah. Alejandro actually identifies this incredible architect. Yeah. From Mexico. Yeah. He's actually Spanish, but worked a lot in Mexico. And designs this beautiful building. So we start from the outside. Designs this beautiful building. And then, Alejandro and his team at LD&D at the time Lanier, start to design the inside of the building. And we start to work through the floor plans. And we find what we believe to be the perfect unit mix. And we price the building in a way that I was talking about earlier. Yeah. We gotta sell. Yeah. This is our only shot. This is our last shot. It's now. So we've got to price this thing to sell. Yeah. And we've got to create value for people because we've got, 6 months to get in the ground. Yeah. So today is pretty much, November 12th will be 6 months since we launched. Okay. We're almost at 40% sold. Nice.
Okay. Congratulations.
We have our groundbreaking November 12th.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So how many units is it? 20 something?
24.
24 units.
Yeah, 24 units.
And now it's like a 3-story building.
We think we'll end up with 22 because we've had a lot of combos. So what's been really special for me is that I've met with every single buyer so far. Yeah. And we have a buyer that owns 2 units at the Surf Club, owns a unit at 220 Central Park South. We have another buyer from London that has a large unit at Chelsea Barracks in London, which is another beautiful high-end community right outside of Mayfair. So I've been able to connect with these great buyers, but more importantly, they've been able to connect with our vision, which is, okay, this isn't the Surf Club, but you're going to get the same lifestyle. You're going to get the same experience and you're going to get the same or arguably better finishes and you're walking distance to the beach and you're a third of the price.
Right. And it's boutique. Boutique. Not that the Surf Club isn't, but
it's just, a beautiful spa. We have more parking than we know what to do with because of the city. The city made us make $1 million investment, in the crosswalk and on 88th leading to the beach. So you have a beautiful canopied cobblestone, walk from, it goes from Collins to Harding and then it goes from Collins to the beach with these.
And there's an entrance to the beach right in front of your property.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're landscaping. We're spending over $300,000 in landscaping and beautifying the tennis courts across the street. So it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful area to live. It already is, but it's going to be that much
incredible.
better.
And I feel like successfully getting deposits, reserves, and selling to those clients, those types of tenants or buyers, shows you the type of product that you're delivering because they are arguably the pickiest if they have a place in 220 Central Park, if they have a place in all these, phenomenal places.
And it's one of the first buildings in the United States where we have a partnership with Restoration Hardware, where you have Restoration Hardware furniture packages. And every single one of our buyers, except for one, has included that in their purchase.
Yeah. So it's a no-brainer with RH.
To be working with Restoration Hardware as well. So it's exciting. Yeah. And I'm working on a joint venture right now on a site in Coral Gables.
Interesting.
So I'm excited to.
I'm going to start talking to you about land. we chatted about some land deals.
That's the niche that we found.
Yeah.
You know, just to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, we come in very early on for many of these developers. And that is the part that I'm most passionate about. Helping them pick an architect, helping them pick a brand, helping them pick, the right interior design, unit mix, pricing.
The theme or whatever.
Pricing, tiered strategy. Right? All that, which is so important. How do we get to 40% sold with 20% deposits? Yeah. And there's a lot more that goes into it, but that part of it's so important. So we've been able to partner with developers that have identified great land sites. Yeah. And we take the soft cost risk. Mm-hmm. So we say, look, let's come up with an appraisal. Let's come up with an appraised value for the site. We get a couple appraisals. We do a baseball approach, arbitration approach, going back to my roots. Yeah. And then, we figure out a land value, and then we take all the risk to get there. We'll do the sales center. We'll go through the entitlement process. Yeah. And developers like it because, we kind of put our money where our mouth is. And,
right. Yeah. You have skin in the game now. And it's just like, hey, we're doing this together.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. And look, I don't want to try to get too big too fast. Mm-hmm. I think that's where a lot of developers make mistakes because people forget, you've got to be able to take on the guarantees.
Yeah.
That's such a big part of condo development.
Huge.
And I don't want to be scrambling.
Yeah.
I want to be a developer that has their capital stack in order early on.
Yeah.
That underwrites very conservatively, that underwrites to, a price per square foot that you can actually sell and keep the velocity. Mm-hmm. Because momentum is so important in this. Mm-hmm. And if you get your GMP and you're off and you raise the price by 20%, you're going to stall out.
Yeah.
You lost momentum. Yeah. And unless you go back and you raise more capital to offset for that loss of momentum,
it's tough.
You're up shit's creek.
It's tough.
And then you got to take on the guarantees. So you got to have a strong enough balance sheet to take on those guarantees.
Yeah.
So you either pay for it, which you have to have modeled for originally, or you got to scramble.
Yeah.
And I listen, there's enough problems that you have to worry about throughout the life cycle of a development that those core values you want to have in place.
Right.
Because if they're not have to worry about.
The foundation is shaky.
Because then those problems start to compound.
Yeah.
And then it starts to affect so many people. Your sales team gets demotivated.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked on land sites where like the developers, they made not a bad bet, but like bad timing. The capital stack is not as strong as it should have been. And I'm now dealing with like foreclosures, bond holders, and they're calling me and I'm just like, this can go. Cause typically what you see is everything just going right. You look at David Martin, you look at George Perez, you're like, oh yeah, they built a building and now they're rich. And I'm like, dude, like I've done deals and talked to them. I'm like, I tell people, I'm like, developers deserve every penny they make because the level, I think, of stress that they take and the risk that they take is out of control. It's out of control. And they're very, actually, they're like shaping the world that we live in. I'm like, I think that's important.
Yeah. Look at what Related's gone through with some of these, sites on Brickell and,
I mean, even Swire's selling a handful of sites now. They're a big corporation. My understanding is they have to sell them, relatively quickly to people that can buy them relatively quickly, and it's real estate cycles, they go up and they go down. But I'm excited for this next sort of chapter of your life.
Thank you.
So you said you're poking around in Coral Gables.
And by the way, with Related and the sites, I meant like this, a
lot of stuff that they bought.
The skeletons that they found on the site. They've got millions of dollars of risk. And here you've got these groups that, this is not a political comment in any way, like good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
They're going after them to preserve this or not build on it. And they've got, 40, 50, 60, 70 million dollars in financial, financial commitments to people.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
Yeah. And you can't, I've had people say like, I need to sell my building before they start selling theirs. I'm going to go throw some bones in their sites and stuff like that to slow them down. I'm like, that's crazy. But it's wild. You can't find, that you can't underwrite that type of risk. It's tough, The other one is, Two Roads with the LSA condo buyout.
The addition site. That's a shame. That's a beautiful property. They're great guys. They're great developers.
Taylor Collins is great.
A few holdouts that are just, it's not right to them. The holdouts aren't even living in the building.
Yeah, it's wild.
They're not even there. They're just trying to be problematic.
Correct. And try to get their money and whatever. And I'm like, guys,
it's not fair.
Yeah.
And you go into these things with a 25, 30% gross margin and, it's like, it just, time kills deals.
Yeah.
So it's not fair to them. Reed and Taylor are great guys. We're representing them at the Standard Residences here on Brickell.
Oh, and Brickell. It's great. I love that little corner. West Brickell is like really coming on its own. Yeah. Well, talking about Albert Milo's project, Magnus Brickell, right? Like it's bringing density that way, which will continue to just liven up that entire area.
Yeah.
And you're next to Brickell City Center and everything there.
Yeah.
So what was on the investment side of things, right? What were like big, the last sort of big one you mentioned, or what you mentioned you had a lot of money into was at Spec Home in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Right now is the next big one, this one in Surfside, or have there been others? Cause you bought.
No, the next big one is
I have one I want to bring up.
Probably.
Brickell City Center?
What about it?
You bought, there was a bulk, acquisition of a bunch of units that you did.
No, it wasn't me.
Oh, that wasn't you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Got it. I remember, I thought you did.
No,
okay.
but that was a good deal.
Yeah, that was a great deal.
Yeah, that was Edgardo and Chahab.
Maybe like you
sold. That was Edgardo and Chahab.
That was Edgardo.
Yeah.
Okay. They literally bought like 40 units in like the bottom of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like,
if I could pull off this Coral Gables deal, which we're exchanging paper now, I think that would be the next big one.
And it's going to be a joint venture with someone.
It would be a joint venture with
Got it. Yeah. And I'm assuming your take now is like, hey, I want to do controlled boutique projects. Like I'm not trying to go build the next Waldorf Astoria. I'm not trying to like,
go pay those. I want to be able to build a team. I want to be able to scale properly. I want to be able to take on, the proper guarantees on these jobs, So
I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
And put me on it. And we're in a world where people really love boutique buildings, especially in the luxury space.
100%. Like they want their space. They want, like the stealth wealth and the, quiet luxury and all these themes that are coming up. I completely agree. So my hot seat question.
Oh my
okay.
God. I thought we already had a few.
Yeah, we've had a couple, but more hot seat questions. So you're working on the Standard Brickell. You're working on Dolce & Gabbana. You're working on Ponce Park with Alan Morris. What are some of your favorite projects out right now that you're not working on that you're like, wow, that's a phenomenal building?
Oh, that's easy. That's just me going back to being honest. And, I actually, I love the Mandarin Oriental.
Yeah.
I love to see that site get developed in that way because I was involved, with Brickell City Center and I would, be at the offices in Swire and growing up in Miami, that was always such an iconic site. And I have so many memories at the old Mandarin Oriental. Yeah. And, I love boating. So I always boat by the site, and to see it being built and to see it be successful
at the level that it's getting built.
And to see the brand,
they're going all in.
The level. Like that's exciting for anybody that grew up.
For the city.
Like for the city.
Yeah.
You have to,
Yeah. And I've gotten to know Henry and he's amazing. I'm a big fan. Henry Vaughn is a really good dude.
He's great. Okay. He's great. And Steve, the old CEO prior to him, during the time of Brickell City Center, he was a great guy. They all go through the Swire University.
Yeah. So Mandarin Oriental, give me one more.
I love the Mandarin Oriental. All right. In Miami and Dade or in...
One more. I mean, in South Florida. Don't go.
Just in South Florida. I like 220 Central Park South. It reminds me of it because it's a Robert A.M. Stern building. I love South Flagler House.
I was in news. Yeah.
I love Robert A.M. Stern.
Yeah.
I hope to work with him one day. I actually have him in mind for my...
Coral Gables.
Yeah.
Look how excited. Every time he talks about Coral Gables, he lights up.
I love him. I think he's remarkable, and... that building, I think, it's under construction.
Yeah.
It's going to be finished impeccably.
Yeah.
It's in an A+ location in Palm Beach. We're doing Alba Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And we're going to work on Alba Reserve as well. Mm-hmm. So I love to see what's happening in West Palm Beach.
And Palm Beach is, strong market.
That building in particular really stands out to me.
Yeah.
I think it's going to, have long-term incredible value.
Yeah.
It's right there on the intercoastal.
Yeah.
You know,
That's related to Steve Ross is doing that, right?
That's related Ross.
Yeah, related Ross.
You got to use the right terminology these days. It's related Ross.
Wow. Yeah. There's all these relateds now. But
what he's doing is I
mean, he's changing the fabric of West Palm Beach. It is wild.
It's wild.
Overnight, he became the largest office owner by like a mile, you know?
Yeah. I was at the offices of North America Development Group or
NADG.
NADG. They're great guys.
Yeah.
And we were at 360 Rosemary.
Beautiful.
And it's just beautiful. We walked downstairs. We had lunch at Felice.
Yeah.
Which just opened here in Brickell at 1450.
Yeah, it's always packed.
And the food's
always
amazing.
It's really good.
They have a great eggplant party.
It's really good. Yeah.
Great. Which we're right here.
My only deal with Felice, every time I leave there, I'm way too stuffed. I'm like, bro, I
want to try everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So we got your two, cause I can't ask you what your favorite building that you're selling is, cause these are like having you choose between your babies. I respect that. Yeah. They're all the best. So, okay, we've got the two buildings that you're not selling that you love the most. Tell me submarkets that you think you're like very excited about. That's not Coral Gables because you're building.
No.
You're looking to build in Coral Gables.
You know, I'm very excited about what Alex Vidya is doing in South Miami.
Yeah, I was just with Alex in 2 weeks ago.
So I've always said this. You know, so Aspen is one of the most affluent communities in the world.
Yeah.
And I see South Miami as so underserved. And I draw a lot of parallels to South Miami being like Aspen in that, when you're in the downtown core of Aspen, you have all these incredible shops.
Yeah.
You have all this incredible F&B, right?
Yeah.
You have all this incredible hospitality.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these different very high-end neighborhoods that surround it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're in the east end of Aspen, you're in the west end of Aspen, you're in Red Mountain in Aspen. It's very similar to being in High Pines in South Miami or Ponce Davis in South Miami or Journey's End and Gables Estates in South Miami. But you have to drive to Coconut Grove to get a good meal.
Yeah, right.
Or you have to come to Brickell. Or you have to go all the way to Miami Beach, which many people aren't doing anymore because of the traffic. What's going on.
The traffic's been crazy. Yeah.
That's why you've got like these
pockets now.
These neighborhoods that are being created, and David did a brilliant job of it in Coconut Grove.
Yeah.
And I think that if curated properly, and I've had some, conversations with Alex and his vision for it is aligned with what I'm saying, I think that neighborhood is going to explode.
Wow.
And, if you look at some of the restaurants that are there now, it was Fiola, now it's Daniel's. It's packed every
That's where I had lunch
night.
with Alex 2 weeks ago. That place is phenomenal.
What day? Friday?
No.
Day.
It was like a Wednesday or something like that.
Packed.
The bread, the food, I was blown away.
Do you know Mika in Coral Gables?
No.
It's the same concept, right? Like there's these markets have been underserved for so many years because you've got all these surrounding neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I'm not comparing South Miami to Coral Gables. I think South Miami is so much more underserved.
Right. Like on a relative basis.
On a relative basis.
Yeah.
Because these neighborhoods, right? These single family home neighborhoods are so much closer to this area that when you open something good, Omar opened Pura Vida.
Yeah.
Pura Vida is not inexpensive.
Yeah.
It's in South Miami. You can't get a table.
Yeah. It's packed.
People want quality things in South Miami.
Yeah.
People want to take their golf cart in. People want to walk in.
Yeah.
People want that lifestyle. So I think that is probably one of the most underserved, because I like North Bay Village. Somebody else might come here and tell you North Bay Village, it's great. But the walkability isn't there.
Yeah.
I like Edgewater.
Yeah.
But the walkability isn't there. It's not.
It's only like Margaret Pace if you're like in that little
Palms
pocket.
Park is doing so well. That's why Alhambra Park is doing so well. That's why Gables, the village at Coral Gables, because of the walkability, because of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
So you don't have that high-end F&B in South Miami. When you do, it knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
You don't have any hospitality.
Yeah.
And you don't have any luxury condos.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and location wise, from a macro perspective, is so strong.
It's so strong.
Yeah.
It's so strong.
Well, funny enough, going back to walkability, the restaurant's called Daniel's. Is that what it's called?
Daniel's.
Daniel's. So I went to go eat at Daniel's with Alex. You're thinking it's going to be a 1 hour lunch, right? 2 hours into our conversation, we're still chatting about real estate in the world. He's like, Omar, if you're free for this afternoon, you want to just walk to my office? And for me, I don't see South Miami as a walkable place like that.
Yeah.
And we walked into the mall.
Yeah.
And his office is there. And did you know he has a paddle court in that mall?
Yeah.
I like playing a lot of paddle. He showed me this like indoor court. And I'm like, dude, this is like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
But he basically told me, I think he's originally from Boston, or not originally from Boston, but spent time in Boston. Yeah. And he's like, just the walkability of Boston I miss, and I want to recreate that here in South Miami.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like that's necessary, you know? What are your thoughts? And you can skip the question if you don't have any, strong opinions on it, but what are your thoughts about West Avenue? Sort of just south of Sunset Harbor, where like,
I know it really well. I mean, I spent 14 years living on Miami Beach.
On the way.
Yeah. So I had my first 2 kids in, just outside of Sunset Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
Before that I was south of 5th.
Yeah. And I'm going to table the West Avenue question. I have another question. Tell me where you've lived throughout your life. I'm just curious. Like I lived, when I was in my 20s in Miami.
So I don't tell a lot of people this, just, whatever. But I was born in East Hialeah. Mm-hmm. Spent very, very little time there.
Yeah.
Maya got us out of there and my father got us out of there as quickly as,
you were just long enough to say you were born there.
Just as long enough to keep it real. You know what I mean? Like,
to be a Miami guy.
A little gangster. And then we moved to Coral Gables.
Okay. So
pretty much my whole
elementary, middle school, high school is Coral Gables.
Coral Gables.
Okay.
Then, I moved to Miami Beach in 2015.
Oh, wow. So you're in Coral Gables for a long time. Yeah. And then Miami Beach in 2015 is like single Daniel or like married
2012.
Daniel? Okay, 2012. Single Daniel is Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been together for a long time. She's my high school. She went to Lourdes. I went to Gulliver.
Yeah. But high school sweethearts. Yeah.
She was my sister's friend.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I've known her forever.
It's incredible.
So I think it was LeBron that just said, him and his wife have been together forever. So, everything hasn't been cupcakes and Skittles, right? Like, but we have a stronger bond than ever right now.
I was going to say
but we've known each other, over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. We've been married, 12 years, 13 years now.
Yeah.
But we were together for almost 10 before that.
Oh, wow.
The math hopefully adds up.
Yeah.
Does the math, but more or less.
Yeah. So you met in high school, for the first time.
Yeah.
And then post-college, probably rekindled or something.
In middle school.
Oh, wow.
We knew each other in middle school.
And then you sort of rekindled
in
late
me
20s.
In middle school. She says she didn't like me in middle school. I don't believe it.
Yeah. You're a convincing guy.
I tell her
all you needed was time.
I tell her I didn't like her either, but it's a lie. It's not true.
You're like, I liked her so much.
Yeah.
Okay. So Miami Beach.
So Miami Beach, 2012. And then we moved back. No, Miami Beach was earlier. Miami Beach was like in 2000.
Yeah, think about ONE Sotheby. Did you already own it?
Miami Beach was in 2010.
Okay. Got it.
And
was it like a house? Just out of curiosity?
A condo.
Okay.
And then I moved to a house
in
right outside of Sunset Harbor at North Vega.
Okay.
And then in 2020, we moved to Ponce Davis, where we live now. I just normally tell people Coral Gables.
Right.
That's unincorporated Miami-Dade County, which is to have been annexed into Coral Gables for many, many years. And the last meeting I went to was a free-for-all. Over 150 people showed up. Yeah. But so I'm in Ponce Davis now and we love it. Okay. And
Yeah, because I always ask realtors, I'm like, where do you live? You know, like you're selling me on where I should buy, but I'm like, where do you actually live? Yeah. So it was East Hialeah, Coral Gables, Miami Beach, Ponce Davis. Yeah. Got it. And then another hot seat question, not hot seat question, but something I want to talk about is I've noticed in my business, when I look at commercial real estate agents, right? These guys that I'm very fortunate to be surrounded with that do billions of dollars a year. I've noticed that to really make the leap from going to being a good agent to like an extraordinary agent, my take, and I'm just curious your thoughts on this, is at one point in your career, you have like obviously more businesses, more people than you can handle as one person. Yeah. Right. And obviously to be a good agent, you have to be a phenomenal broker. Yeah. But you get to a stage in your career where you have to shift from being a really good agent to being a really good leader.
Yeah.
Why? Because you just need to surround yourself with people that can manage the work that you're bringing in, right? That doesn't mean you're not involved, but you just need your right hand, left hand, woman and man, right? And I've noticed, to the detriment of some phenomenal brokers, they need to be the center of attention. They need to be the guy. They need to be the girl, whatever, the woman. And then they fail to make that leadership jump where then they have, you know, they multiply what they can do.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just something I've noticed, where the people at the top, when I think about in my world, Mitch Simberg, Robert Given, Manny DeZaraga, that are just at the, you know,
all great people,
the phenomenal people at the top of the game. Yeah. They're phenomenal leaders, you know, and there's other people that are great brokers that I see that they're less great leaders, and it impacts them, I think, their future. So is that something that, like, how do you think about that? Do you agree?
So without using names, I think it's a little different in residential.
Okay.
Because you can, we have an agent, right? That
one agent. Yeah,
we have an agent that's been with us 15 plus years.
Yeah.
He sold over $450 million last year.
Whoa.
Doing 5 transactions. And he likes it that way.
Yeah.
We have another agent that's been with us over 15 years that did $275 million doing 20 transactions. And it's him and an assistant.
Wow.
And they like it that way.
Okay.
You know, and then we have agents
that
have teams of 12, 15, 20 plus people that do $300+ million a year in residential real estate. So, you know, in residential, more volume doesn't necessarily mean more people. Yeah. I think you've got to be a good leader regardless. And you just are either leading yourself as an entrepreneur and being disciplined about your business. Right. Or you choose the path of building a team and leading other people. And people start teams for different reasons. Yeah. There's agents in the residential world that start teams because they just, you know, want to have like a mini brokerage within the brokerage. Yeah. And they enjoy that. And they have, you know, directors of operations. They do their own transactions. They do their own accounting, and they like that. Yeah. And then, you know, you have people and they do that because they don't want to sell anymore. You know, they just kind of want to lead the team and have the team make them money. Yeah. Essentially. Yeah. And then you have people that, you know, are very active in selling in their team, you know, and they use their team to get leads, and those team members are you know, there's a lot of attrition there and they don't care. Yeah. Because they kind of just rinse, wash, and repeat, and everybody wins, right? Yeah. They get leads. These people learn the business. They go and they move on and they go off to their own, and they either, you know, are somewhat more individual agents or team agents. And that's why we segment, you know, our groups or our agents, you know, when we do our rewards by, are you an individual agent? Yeah. Are you a small team? Are you a medium-sized team? Or are you a large team? Yeah. Yeah. You know, but in any one of those groups, you've got to be a good leader regardless, you know?
No, it's a good answer, because it's basically, in the residential world, there's like many ways to skin the cat, right? Yeah. Not that there isn't in commercial real estate, but I've seen in commercial real estate, there's like the guy, and it's just like he wants to touch all the deals and be everywhere. Yeah. But it's limiting when you just become too busy, you know? But so it's a little different. And then I haven't even asked this, and we will probably talk a lot about this, you know, feel free to expand or not expand as much as you want. Tell me, and this is a hot seat question, I think. Tell me about the condo market, just generally. You know, it's definitely down, obviously, from 2021 because it was so high. Yeah. Right. But, yeah, do you see an uptick in activity? You know, from my perspective, I sell land, right? I sell land to condo developers, many of which you know, and I sell land to multifamily developers, right? Talking about condo developers that I sell land to, it's tough for me to sell the piece of land. Right now, I have 1.5 acres in Edgewater that I think is a phenomenal site that I am trying to sell. But a condo developer is like, Omar, I am not going to deliver 750 condo units in Edgewater right now. Like, I can't. The sales velocity is not there for me to do that if it's not the perfect waterfront corner site in Edgewater. It needs to be the most prime. It's like their take, right? That's your take. But understandably, sales velocity is slow. In Fort Lauderdale, I've heard it's very slow, things like that. So just how do you think about where we are today, and should you be looking into the future, and now you should be buying?
I don't even know where to start. It's a difficult environment right now. And I think that's the general consensus with most developers, right? it's all about velocity. How quickly can I get to 40% sold with 20% deposits? And I have to sell 750 units at today's velocity. Look, today's velocity is there's so many different segments within the market now that it's tough. So it's
what are you seeing? Maybe like, hey, it's strong here.
But I think that's important to note, right? With your question, you've got this STR market now that we never really had before.
Yeah.
And even within the STR market, you've got, let me tell it to you like this. We just did a big Brickell market study for us. Mm-hmm. It's a good market to kind of answer your question. So we looked at the Brickell market in 4 ways. Mm-hmm. We said the ultra luxury waterfront market. Mm-hmm. We said the luxury non-waterfront market. We said the STR market. And then we said the minimum 30-day rental market. Mm-hmm. And they're all performing somewhat differently. Mm-hmm. Right?
Interesting.
But they're all down overall.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And if they were all to launch today, it would be very difficult to get to 40% sold with 20% deposits within a time frame that's acceptable.
Right.
To investors and to, you as a developer.
Yeah.
But, within that luxury Bayfront market, you really only have 2 buildings. You have St. Regis and you have Mandarin.
Right.
Then, in the luxury, non-waterfront, you have,
there's 1428
Faena, 1428 Brickell, those kinds of products. Then you have the STR market.
Yeah.
There you have Domus.
I was going to say Domus is doing a lot of stuff.
Gen. That's downtown, but built into our concept.
Yeah.
And there's many more. I'm just giving you the Cliff Note version. And then there's the minimum 30-day rental market, right? Which is like Viceroy, the Standard, projects like that. So we look at the markets in this way. Yeah. And you can really do that across the board.
Right.
So
you really have to segment it.
And you have to segment the market. Yeah. Because some are performing better than others. Yeah. And I think that is really what, that's how we've evolved. Yeah. Really. And you can do that in Miami-Dade County. You can do that in Broward County. You can do that in Fort Lauderdale. In Fort Lauderdale, you've got projects like Vetivo and Viceroy and Ombel. Yeah. And then you've got, very high-end luxury product like Tavistock's product, which we're selling Pier 66. Yeah. And then you've got projects now on the river, you know, so it's a very segmented specific market. Yeah. And they're all sort of, they're all sort of performing. They're all performing differently. Yeah. So you've got to look at it.
The same way that people say a rising tide lifts all ships. This is like, hey, it's been slower for everyone. Yeah. But some more than others and others. So I'm just curious now. I don't know if you can answer this, because it's a tough question. I think what would be like a perfect type of project for you to sell right now? Whether it's like size, location, like, is there one that you're like, I wish I had a boutique project and
it's less about the project and more about the pricing. The conversation that I'm having with my clients.
What's like where you want to be right now if you had to?
And again, within those segments, you have totally different price points. Yeah. You range from 4,000 a foot to 1,000 a foot. Yeah. So it depends, right? Yeah. But within those segments, you have to be very competitive with your pricing, and you have to be realistic and say, just because somebody bought 2 years ago at this price doesn't mean that they're going to perceive value in their purchase at today's price. Right. And today's price is, it's known, because the other thing is our buyers in today's world, they have access to so much information. So much. They know what we sold for. We have brokers, co-brokers that we work with that are incredible, that have been tracking us from day one, and our price lists are public. Yeah. So they look at it and they'll say, well, you sold that A line on the 20th floor. You're like, I said, yeah, but that was the beginning. But then that's where that kind of disparity comes, because they're saying, we want it at that price. That's the market. The developer's saying it's 2 years later. I want it at that price. Yeah. But if the developer wants to sell, everybody makes money if they sell it at this price. Yeah. Which is and everybody wins. Yeah. So the developer's still, making money. This person
is happy to be buying.
Is happy to be buying because they feel like they got value. Yeah. So the conversations that we're having today are around pricing. Yeah. And I can't really tell you, well, the pricing on Palms Park is the same as at Dolce -- which is not the same as Standard. which is not the same as, you know, so it's, but the developers that are gonna do well in this market are the ones that take the short-term pain for the long-term gain. And it's harder to convince the developers of that in this environment because, you know, if they have a construction loan, they have minimums, you know, and they've raised capital around certain sales prices per square foot. But I say to them, you know, look, I just did it. I know it's on a small scale, a very small scale, but, you know, a few of them have called me and said, how'd you get the velocity at Surf Row? You know, short-term pain for long-term gain. And that's the reality around today's market.
No, it's great advice. It's great advice. My last question for you, and then if you want to say anything else afterwards, I'm all ears. But you've obviously been a phenomenal, extraordinary, successful broker. What is some advice that you have for like aspiring brokers that want to, you know, amount to your level of success and traction and activity? Advice that you wish you had when you were younger, or advice that you're learning now, whatever it may be.
Somebody that wants to be a real estate agent or somebody that wants to be a broker owner?
Real estate agent and then broker.
For somebody that wants to be a real estate, first of all, one of the things that I get the most amount of personal satisfaction from on the brokerage side still is having a conversation with a young aspiring agent. You know, for me, that is so rewarding to sit with them and talk to them and say, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? Understand their why, and then just give them very, you know, advice on the industry, on the business, on how I think they can be successful, depending on their why, you know, or their goals, because everybody's goals are a little bit different, right? And everybody's, you know, background is very different. So how do you use your background to be successful for your future? I used my background with my connections in with my upbringing to be able to get and land our first 2 development deals. That's not going to be the case for everybody else. So I try to dig really deep with the agents and understand, you know, what's their why, what's their history. And I get to that level with them. And then I guide them and I say, look, I can't be there for you every day, but here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm sensing. Here's what I think you should do. You know, but a lot of times it's centered around being a specialist at first. You know, focus on a market. And I think a parallel to the commercial world is like focus on an asset class. Don't try to be an investment sales guy, a leasing guy. You know, you gotta focus on a market in residential, whether it's Miami Beach or Fort Lauderdale or, excuse me, those are way too vague. Whether it's, you know, South of condo market, you know, or it's mid beach. You know, or it's, you know all the condos on West Avenue.
So then you're the guy for a woman for that person.
You're the guy for the woman. Know it cold. And the other thing I tell them is that this market and these buyers have become very institutionalized. They're very smart. So what I think it was you that posted something this morning. Not only did I get to meet with the Kushner family, but the Kushner family sent me an email that said, you were so well prepared. And that's what I tell the agents. This is not an industry. The people that you look to and aspire to be, those people were professionals. Those people started on one of those teams. Those people understood a niche market. Those people were not generalists. They didn't work in Miami. You know, how many times does a client call you and say, I just want a good deal? Do you ever work with a guy that tells you that?
Never.
But if the guy tells
me, what do you want?
I'm looking for class B office buildings on Miami Beach where I can create some upside.
Correct. You're like, oh, okay.
And my yield expectations are X.
And even if it's not me, I'm like, I know who to put you in touch with.
I can work with it.
Right? I'm looking for a deal. I'm like, I am too.
So you have to be very, you know, you have to know a market really well, and you have to know the numbers around that market. Because everybody wants value. And the market will get behind you. Right. So you said something earlier. I want to know where you live, or I want to know where the broker lives. Right. But I always tell people, and I've told this to my very good friends, Nitin Mitwani's a very good friend of mine.
Boom, recently.
And he called me and he said, hey, I'm thinking about buying this this house. I'm not going to say where he lives. I don't want him to get mad at me, but I'm thinking about buying.
Give him the address. Give him the address.
Yeah. I knew the area. I bet on Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I bet on Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Nitin, close your eyes and buy the house. I don't care if you're overpaying. Yeah. And the other thing I say is, I said to him, Nitin, you don't make money. You don't make money on your house.
Yeah.
You know,
your house.
It's your house. That's where you're going to raise your kids.
Yeah. That was a big
you
unlock.
Make money building beautiful buildings.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm always going to tell you, just buy. If you have a 10, 20, 30 year, as long as it's a decent buy, look at the comps. If you're within a certain percentage of the last few sales, buy it.
Yeah.
You know, but the broker needs to know the market and then bet on Miami.
Correct.
So that's my advice to the broker.
Correct. Yeah. And now give me your advice for the broker owners.
My advice for broker owners is, don't do it.
Stay in
Don't do it.
Real estate. Yeah.
No, I mean, look, if you want to do it, you've got to scale.
Right.
You've got to scale. You've got to scale. You're up against big brands.
Yeah.
You know, you can do pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, but having a brand like Sotheby's behind you or having a brand like Brickell behind you, you know, especially starting out, you know, in the industry. Yeah. You know, I hear brokers sometimes tell me, well, the brand doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You know, but then in the same breath, they say, oh yeah, my client sold their, you know, a condo in Paris with Sotheby's. Like, okay, well, the brand matters a little bit, right?
If you're telling me who they sell that way.
Yeah. So, you know,
scale.
For me, you have to grow, scale to make money.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got to be responsible with, you know, you've got to be disciplined around your commission plans. You've got to be disciplined around your accounting and you need really good people that believe in what you want to do and believe in your ability to scale, you know, to be alongside you because, you know, I'm here today, but there's thousands of people that have supported me along the way that have made this possible. Yeah. You know, and they're all the parts to that airplane that I talked about earlier. I'm just kind of flying it. I'm building it with them as we're flying it.
Right.
And I'm reading the instruction manual as I'm flying it. Yeah. So for me, you know, that's been my journey and it's been a lot of ups and downs. Yeah. You know, but I've always believed in myself, you know, in my vision and my continuous ability to learn. Yeah. And I think one of my core principles is that the only constant thing in life is change. Correct. You know, and I had a big change happen to me Monday morning. And there's a lot of people that have looked at this and are upset about it. Yeah. You know, peers of mine. Yeah. And I told you all the reasons I think it's amazing. Yeah. And it's not a pitch. It's a genuine feeling that I have about my future. Yeah. You know, in this industry. So I'm excited about my future. I'm excited about the industry. I'm excited to be living in Florida. Yeah. You know, as a whole, especially South Florida, but we go all the way up to Amelia Island. We border the Florida-Georgia line. And it's incredible. The entire east coast of Florida is poised for incredible growth. And, you know, Miami has a lot of, you know, really Miami has been very cyclical, but the east coast of Florida has had a lot of ups and downs. But there's one thing that's constant. Mm-hmm. Every up has been higher than the last up. Yeah. Right? Incredible. So you're going to see value long-term in every industry, in every asset class, in commercial and residential. So yeah. As long as you can don't wait to buy real estate and wait. You know? Wait, that's a great one. Yeah. Don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. I tell this to people all the time. I'm like, you're buying a home. Yeah. Hey, that's not only an investment, it's where you're raising your family. Yeah. You know, it's not just an ROI where your kids live in the neighborhood that you introduce them to. Yeah. And buy real estate and hold. I love that. Yeah. So for me, honestly, thank you so much for taking the time, Daniel. No, it's been a great pleasure to be in this market and operate and know people like you. It's, you know, I'm very appreciative of a lot of the relationships I have in my life, and you're one of the best. And every time I'm selling land, I call you and I'm like, what do you think we'll sell for here? Let's do our first unit. I would love it. I refer you guys all the time. So. Thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciate the time. Thank you. Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Miami DealMakers is sponsored by Plytech. Noise complaints are one of the top issues facing condo and hotel developers. Plytech engineered the Genie Mat to provide effective sound isolation of floors and walls in units for quiet living and restful sleep. As a designer and developer, you know high quality amenity spaces set your project apart, but they shouldn't come at the cost of comfort. Plytech's products isolate the noise from gyms, pools, and everyone's favorite, even pickleball courts, so residents can fully enjoy their homes. Visit plytech.com today and build quieter buildings. That's plytech.com, PLITEQ.com, or send an email at info@plytech.com.